sure am. And the states are getting hit hard. Terrible planning, but actually better than the federal government. And we're going to see tremendous cuts in employees. It's the only real way around it. And, it's just going to get worse.
And, of course, more state and government employees are going to get laid off, and people are beginning to get fearful. They're talking about, actually releasing low-danger, non-violent criminals so they can lay off people, in the prison system. We've got a lot of prison guards. We've got certainly one of the largest and growing industries in the entire country is the prison system. But, of course, now they're talking about private prisons. They're cheaper, sending our prisoners to other states because it's cheaper to keep them than here in California because, of course, of the amazing pension system we've got here that, of course, the guards certainly will make many, sometimes as much as government executives. We'll be right back. Well, this is Dr. Stan. I guess, of course, is Bob Chapman, and I was simply asking him what was happening as far as Spain and Ireland is concerned. He said that they're in terrible trouble, and Italy and Portugal are not far behind, and he thinks that maybe the European Union will have to break up because of all the very real problems that they're facing. And he then went on to say the European Central Bank has brought the interest rate down to about 1%, and pick the story up there, Bob.
And in the last year, it's the money and credit that they have created has dropped from 12.8% down to 4.7%. So what they're saying here is, if you can't make it on low interest rates, we are not going to incur great debt and the possibility of inflation to solve this problem. We're going to let the system purge itself. And that's what people should be doing. And so if the credit and money and credit stays approximately the same, then we can expect that Europe is going to go deeper into depression.
But of course, they will come out of that depression, and in a year or two, and then to be a stronger economy. Where everything we're doing is exactly the opposite. We're putting more and more and more money into a problem that was created by more and more and more money, and it's like fighting a fire with gasoline.
Well, I have my detractors on this, but I see the numbers, and unless the numbers start changing dramatically, I know that's the direction that the European Central Bank is headed. But they're not going to turn around in 2 years because they're all exporters. And, yes, they export to each other, but they export throughout the world. And their exports right now are down about 35 or 40%. And they're going to remain there as long as the United States and Canada, Mexico, countries like that are in recession or depression. And the buoyancy that we have seen in China and some of the Asian countries, that will wear off. They can't carry the whole world. And the Chinese just created $2 trillion in debt and just threw it into the economy over the last 6 months. And what do they do for an encore? So anyway, the situation in Europe will last as it is worse going into 2013. And they might start coming out then. And the United States probably will be several years behind, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's if we don't have another war. And as you know, I know, Stan, every time the Illuminists get into trouble, they have another war.
Sure.
And so we can look forward to that when calculating everything together to see where things go or might go, could go, based upon our experience in the field of economics, finance, social, and political issues. And so Europe will have an edge. But then again, maybe not. If the euro breaks up, will it be good or bad? I think it'd be good.
All right, fine. Well, our telephone number is 1-888-24-LIBERTY. 1-888-24-LIBERTY or 464-8295 if you'd like to talk to Bob. 1-888-24-LIBERTY or 464-8295 here in the Central Coast of California. Bob, before we go on, I want you, of course, to tell our listeners how they can subscribe to the International Forecaster, how they can get a free copy and pick the story up there.
Well, you can go to one of three places. Our site, and that address is theinternationalforecaster.com. The International, FORECASTER.com. Or you can email us at Bob, D-O-B, at INTFORECASTER.com. That's Bob at intforecaster.com. Or you can call toll-free 800-375-4188. That's 800-375-4188. And the International Forecaster is about business, finance, economic, social, political issues all over the world. We publish by email on Wednesdays and Saturdays, about 35 or 40 pages each time. And we have a hard copy that goes out twice a month for those who are not on the Internet. And anything that you need to know is there.
Well, it's a fascinating summary of everything going on financially in the world today. And, of course, most people are not going to survive because basically they don't understand that this whole thing is being intentionally manipulated, of course, to bring our economy down. Our leaders have a different set of goals. They want to bring about a world government, and of course you do this, of course, by destroying the economy of this nation and perhaps plunging us into a war. Who knows what they have in mind, but there is a small clique that controls our nation. If you haven't got the membership list of the Trilateral Commission, you need to get it. You need to read my newsletters and realize that at least 12 of the 87 North American members of the Trilateral Commission are now in key positions in the Obama administration and directing our financial, foreign, and domestic policies. Well, let's go to Dave, who's calling us from Illinois. Again, our telephone number, 1-888-24-LIBERTY or 464-8295. Hi, Dave. How are you doing?
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Got a question for Bob. In a nutshell, without manufacturing, how can we ever get out of a depression? How is it possible?
It's not possible. And that's why in the early 1960s we had GATT, a General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade. It was the beginnings of the end, which was done deliberately, of tariffs on goods and services, mostly goods. That evolutionary process continued into 1986. It became the World Trade Organization. And since then, there's been a tremendous amount of jobs, probably altogether over that period of time between 1980 and now. Probably about 10 million jobs have been lost in that matter, and most all of them were good-paying jobs. And so we cannot be resurrected as a manufacturing powerhouse or even a large producer of goods for our own consumption unless we have tariffs again on goods and services. And I think it's going to happen, but it'll happen only because Congress is forced into it. It's kind of like the situation that we are seeing with H.R. 1207, the bill by Ron Paul to audit and investigate the Fed. 276 co-sponsors. That means the constituents and the people in the House of Representatives, for the most part, are very upset about what's going on, and that's what has to happen. And if we do not, as you pointed out, we've got to have that. If we can't, there's no way that we can survive.
And remember, of course, there is a master plan, and that is to transfer our jobs overseas and to bring our living standards down. That's what it's really all about, Dave. There is the master plan. It's called the Earth Charter. They talk about equitable distribution of wealth. between nations. That's what it's about. That's why we're sending our jobs overseas, so we can help the people over there and of course, lower the living standards here, but they cannot tell that to the American people. The Earth Charter is available on the Internet. It was written by David Rockefeller's nephew, Stephen Rockefeller. The people of great wealth want to create a feudal system that they can rule from their thrones, and this is what it's about. Anything else, Dave, before we let you go?
Yeah, just that whenever I listen to them pundits, the so-called experts, all they talk about is the stock market, and I have to laugh because the stock market's not the economy, really not anymore. You know, manufacturing, production's the economy, and like Bob agreed, if we don't get that back, we're done.
You're absolutely right, and of course the stock market is a diversion. As we often say,